And waking up one morning and realizing that everything you believed about yourself was a beautiful illusion. Think about it. What if the voice inside your head, the identity you defend, the story you call you, is not truly who you are? What if behind this fragile mask of human experience there hides an infinite being, observing, dreaming, and pretending to be this temporary self? In this video, we will explore one of the most profound truths ever revealed, the secret that has echoed through the ages, whispered by sages, mystics, and enlightened masters, that you are not merely human. You are the divine itself playing a cosmic game of forgetfulness. And by the end of this journey, you will see why the last revelation, the one at the end, is the most powerful and life-changing of all. Before we dive deep, take a moment to subscribe to the channel. Leave your like and share this video with those who seek meaning beyond the ordinary. Because today, we're not just talking about philosophy, we're uncovering the mystery of existence itself. Stay until the end, because what you're about to hear might forever change how you perceive life, reality, and your own identity. For thousands of years, humanity has sought to understand who we are and why we exist. Religion told us we are children of God. Science tells us we are matter, stardust organized by chance. But the ancient mystics, from Egypt to India, from the teachings of Hermes Trismegistus to the wisdom of the Upanishads, revealed something even deeper, that God did not create you as something separate from himself. God became you. This idea is at the heart of all esoteric wisdom. The Emerald Tablet of Thoth says, "As above, so below, as within, so without." This means that the divine pattern of creation exists inside every human being. The same consciousness that spins galaxies into motion is the same consciousness that animates your thoughts, your heartbeat, your dreams. You are not a drop separated from the ocean. You are the entire ocean, experiencing itself as a drop. But somewhere in the infinite cycle of existence, the divine decided to experience limitation, to forget its boundless nature, and step into form. The ancient Hindus called this cosmic game Leela, the divine play. In this sacred drama, God chooses to forget who he is, to feel, to love, to fear, to struggle, only to one day remember again. You are not a lost soul trying to reach God. You are God, pretending to be lost, so you could experience the joy of finding yourself again. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, who is it that is aware of your thoughts right now? When you feel sadness, who is the one observing the sadness? When you dream, who is the dreamer? Behind every layer of identity, your name, your body, your memories, there is an awareness that never changes. That silent witness is your true self. Modern science, in its own way, is beginning to approach this ancient truth. Quantum physics has shown that the observer affects the observed. Consciousness, not matter, seems to be the foundation of reality. The double-slit experiment, as discussed by physicists like John Wheeler, suggests that reality responds to awareness itself. The universe is not a cold machine. It is a living field of consciousness expressing itself through infinite forms. And this field is you. This is the secret that the mystics guarded for millennia, that divinity is not found in distant heavens or temples of stone, but in the stillness of your own awareness. Jesus hinted at this when he said, "Ye are gods." The Buddha discovered it under the Bodhi tree when he awakened and saw that all beings share the same luminous nature. The Hermetic masters knew it when they taught that all is mind. But if this truth is so powerful and universal, why don't we live as gods? Why do we suffer, fear, and feel so small? The answer lies in one of the greatest paradoxes of creation. To experience being human, consciousness must forget its divinity. To play the game of life, the infinite must pretend to be finite, and so you, the divine consciousness, entered this world of time and matter, wrapped in layers of illusion, body, ego, memory, culture, until you began to believe the dream was real. And yet, every longing for meaning, every spark of inspiration, every act of compassion is the divine remembering itself. Each time you feel awe before a sunset, or love so deep it brings tears to your eyes, that is God peeking through the disguise, reminding himself, I am here, I am everything, I am all. I am. So the question becomes, what would happen if you stopped pretending? What if you began to remember who you truly are? How would your life change if you saw yourself not as a mere person struggling to survive, but as the infinite consciousness expressing itself through human form? As we continue, we will journey deeper into the process of awakening, into the mystery of how the universe dreamed itself into existence, and why you chose to forget your true nature in the first place. Because understanding this is not just philosophy, it is the beginning of liberation itself. Every great spiritual tradition has tried, in its own way, to explain this act of divine forgetting, the moment when the infinite became finite, when the one fractured into the illusion of many. The Gnostics described it as the fall of Sophia, divine wisdom descending into matter and losing remembrance of her celestial origin. The Hermetic texts speak of the descent of the soul, the immortal spark that leaves the realm of pure light and enters the density of form, wrapped in layers of shadow and illusion. But this fall was never a mistake. It was a choice, a sacred act of self-discovery. The universe is not a punishment, and life is not a prison. This world is a mirror through which the divine learns to see itself. You are not trapped here by accident. You are here because, before time began, you desired to experience what infinity could never know in its pure form: limitation, emotion, imperfection, and growth. Think about it. How could an all-knowing infinite consciousness ever know what it means to overcome fear, unless it first felt fear? How could it know courage without danger, compassion without suffering, joy without contrast? Every challenge in your life, every shadow that crosses your path is not an obstacle but an invitation, a divine opportunity to rediscover your own light. The great psychologist Carl Jung hinted at this cosmic truth when he wrote, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." What Jung understood, and what ancient mystics knew long before him, is that awakening is not about escaping humanity, but about remembering your divinity through humanity. The human experience is not separate from God. It is God, learning through experience what it already knows in eternity. Something eternal observes. That silent awareness has never been born, and it will never die. You have watched lifetimes come and go like waves on the ocean, yet the ocean itself remains still. You are that ocean, timeless, boundless, unchanging. In the words of the Indian sage Ramana Maharshi, the self is God. The self itself is God. He taught that enlightenment is not about attaining something new, but simply recognizing what has always been there, the pure consciousness behind all appearances. The illusion of separateness, he said, is like mist obscuring the sun. When the mist dissolves, the sun was never gone. Science again begins to echo this insight. Physicist David Bohm, a close collaborator of Albert Einstein, spoke of the implicate order, a hidden unity underlying all things. According to Bohm, what we perceive as separate objects and events are actually unfoldings of one infinite whole, constantly interacting with itself. You, me, the stars, the galaxies, all are expressions of a single consciousness exploring its own depths. So when you look into the eyes of another person, you are looking into another expression of yourself. When you show kindness to someone in pain, you are soothing another face of the divine. When you love, you are God loving God. And when you suffer, you are God remembering what compassion feels like. This is the paradox of creation. The infinite needed to become limited to experience itself. The light had to enter darkness to recognize its brilliance. The divine had to become human to understand love, loss, and longing. But here's where the game becomes extraordinary, and where your awakening begins. The moment you start to see through the illusion, life begins to change in subtle but profound ways. The world no longer feels random or meaningless. Coincidences start to appear, guiding you toward awareness. The people you meet, the experiences you attract, all begin to serve a higher purpose, to help you remember. Have you ever felt that some events in your life were too perfectly timed to be accidents? That a certain person arrived at the exact moment you needed them? That pain somehow led to transformation? These are not coincidences. These are the echoes of your own higher self, orchestrating the dream to awaken you from within. The great Sufi poet Rumi wrote, "You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop." These words are not a metaphor. They are literal truth. Every cell in your body carries the intelligence of the cosmos. Every heartbeat vibrates in rhythm with the stars. When you breathe, the same air that once filled the lungs of the ancients moves through you. You are connected to everything that ever was and ever will be. So why does remembering this truth feel so difficult? Because the illusion of separateness is incredibly convincing. From birth, we are taught that we are bodies, minds, nationalities, genders, that we are defined by our limitations. The world reinforces the illusion through language, culture, and fear. We forget, not because we are weak,